Hi, I'm Elizabeth McCulloch and welcome to the third video in my gardening series. I'm a first-time gardener based in the Midwest and I'm taking you along on my journey through this year. In the last video, you saw my little urban homestead and you also saw me install some pavers into our vegetable garden. In today's video, I'm going to be plotting out my vegetables and my flowers, and so I want to show you my process there. I also bought some more seeds, so when we're done plotting out the garden, I'm going to do a short little seed haul. I'll meet you in the kitchen and we'll get started plotting out that vegetable garden. Okay, I have my backyard mapped out. I measured the vegetable garden and have it scaled so every ½ inch on paper is 1 foot in the garden. I also researched the spacing that's required between each plant and wrote that information down. I listed all my plants and color coded them. I'm drawing on a poster board and I'll be using colored pencils and a measuring tape. For the record, I should have used marker so you could see it better. Also, my phone is suspended from the ceiling to make this aerial view, so please excuse the camera moving. Anyways, I'm going to plot everything and then go back over it at the end. I'm starting with my low-growing plants. We have our carrots, lettuce, arugula, and spinach. Direct sown, the carrots need an inch spacing and the greens need about 4, and there's 1 foot between each row. Now I'm coloring them in to keep track rather than labeling. In the back, I'm planting corn. Because it is the tallest crop I'll grow, it needs to be in the back where it won't shade out the shorter plants. These are 1 foot apart and the rows are about 3 feet apart. Next is our tomato, and these ones are indeterminate, which means they'll produce fruit until the frost takes them out, so I'm going to plant them along the path to make them a bit more accessible. Moving on to our bell peppers and jalapenos, I'll plant those along the path because they are indeterminate as well, and I'm just spacing those according to how many plants I have actually. Next is our pole beans and our peas. These also I'm spacing based on how many plants I have because I don't have many, and these ones are okay to grow closer together. Along the fence there will be my broccoli. There's 18 inches between those, which is the minimum they need. They would be happier with 24 inches, so I may end up only planting 4 of those. Here's where it gets sketchy. I'm placing my watermelon, squash, and zucchini in this quadrant, but watermelon needs a lot more space than I can give it in this garden. The squash and zucchini will be perfectly happy growing here, but the watermelon's gonna have to find another spot to live. Okay, moving on to our flowers. So I'll start plotting out the rows for the cut garden. The mammoth sunflowers are going to be the tallest flowers, so they need to grow where they won't shade out the others. I'm putting them in the row farthest north, and there's about 1 foot between each of those. This row is going to be bulbs. I will plant my gladiolus bulbs and transplant 2 varieties of iris here. The bulbs need about a 6-inch distance, and the irises need 1 foot. Then I have echinacea and bergamot, which are both transplants, and they need 1 foot between them. Finally, we have 2 varieties of black-eyed Susans, which are also transplants, and they need 1 foot between them as well. Lastly is our herbs. These will be going in containers this year, and I'm hoping 12-inch containers will be sufficient. So I'm just drawing out my containers and we'll color code those. Now that everything's together and outlined, I'm going to go ahead and walk through each of my segments here. So I'll start with the vegetables. In this quadrant is going to be my direct sown seeds. So we have our Scarlet Nantes carrots, we have Grand Rapids lettuce, arugula, and spinach. This is about 1 inch spacing. Each of these has about 4-inch spacing, and then I put 1 foot between each row. These will be sown early next week. And then along here, I've got my broccoli plants. There's about 1.5 feet between each of these, so it might be a tight squeeze because 1.5 feet is about the minimum distance that you can have between broccolis. Over here, we have our pole beans and we have our British Wonder pea. So I'll probably try to construct some kind of trellis out of sticks and twine to place between these two so they have something to grow up. Here we've got our peppers, our orange bell, yellow bell, and jalapeno. These will probably have tomato cages around them. Our sandwich slicer tomatoes, we've got about 2 feet between those two. And then we have 2 rows of corn. So corn pollinates primarily through wind dispersal. So you want to plant 2 rows so that pollination can occur. Alternatively, you can hand pollinate corn to ensure that pollination occurs. This section here is pretty ambitious. I have my watermelon, crookneck squash, and zucchini. The watermelon, that's gonna have to go somewhere else. Watermelon needs a tremendous amount of space to grow and to produce delicious fruits, but I will grow the zucchini and the squash there. Those will grow well in that spot. And moving on to our flowers, the first thing I'll do is transplant the perennials that we already have growing in the yard. So in this row here, we'll have 2 varieties of black-eyed Susan. In this row here, we have echinacea. We also have bergamot. Bergamot is my favorite. Here I will plant my gladiolus bulbs and our purple and white irises. So the gladiolus bulbs and the mammoth sunflower are the only things that we are not currently growing in our yard. The mammoth bulbs, the mammoth seeds, I'll plant closer to the last frost date. And then here we have our herbs. So ideally I'll be able to grow these in 12-inch containers, but we might have to upsize depending on how fast they're growing. We have lavender, chamomile, sage, basil, rosemary, and cilantro. Okay, so we have our veggies and our flowers plotted out, so I'm going to go ahead and show you the seeds that I bought today. Most of these are going to be direct sown. First, we have our mammoth sunflower. I also got 2 varieties of zinnia. So we have a purple lilliput and we also have state fair mix. And these I'll primarily direct sow and kind of just find a spot in the yard where I think they would look nice. These are pretty easy to grow and pretty prolific no matter where you put them as long as they're getting enough sunlight. So some of these will do well if I were to start them as seeds, but also I can just direct sow those. Okay, and so I also chose a double sweet corn, and I chose this one because I like that there's some variety in the color of the kernels. So it's got some yellow and also has like cream colored kernels. I have a zucchini dark squash, and I also have a summer crookneck early squash. Honestly, these ones I'll probably direct sow as well, just to make that process a little bit more simple for myself. So these are the seeds that I bought today. You saw me plot out my vegetables, my flowers, and you also saw where I'm going to put my herbs in their containers. And I really enjoyed doing that. Obviously, you don't have to do it to the extent that I did. I got pretty detailed when I was mapping out the backyard. But the most important thing is just making sure that you have the proper scale so that you can make sure that you're plotting things out with proper spacing. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you want to see what I'm doing next in my garden. You saw me plot out my vegetables, and in the next video I'm actually going to be planting some because we are getting close to our last frost date. Thank you again for watching this gardening series, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!